Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing my out-of-box review for the HG Iron-Blooded Orphans Helmwige Reincar. So as always, thank you to MindFenix Hobby Store for sending me this kit to share with you guys. If you're living in Australia, do check out their site. The link is down below. And this is a cool kit, yeah, for sure. This is definitely a very solid kit, interesting design, a lot of nice details on there, good articulation and all of that. Very cool weapon, as that's probably like one of the biggest features about this kit. And the colors, yeah, you know, they're okay. There's definitely not going to be a 1/100 scale of this kit, so if you like this design, you're pretty much going to have to just go with this HG. And yeah, my thing about this is this whole thing. I mean, it's cool that we got the kit because it's a cool design, but I think that was kind of the only reason, because so far in the show, unless it pulls something out of nowhere in like the last few episodes, it hasn't really done anything. So that's just kind of weird. And the whole character, the pilot, and I forget the guy's name, what is it? Isurugi, I mean, he also seems like a kind of nothing character as well. Kind of like he basically exists there just so that McGillis has someone to talk to when he's delivering exposition related to the story. So I don't know. That's just my kind of thing with it. My biggest issue with Iron-Blooded Orphans in general has been the writing of it, to be honest. So that's a whole other topic for a different video maybe, or never. But anyway, it's not really related to this kit. This is a cool kit, like I said. Pretty good part separation. There are a few big stickers, but not really too much. So I think that's not really a problem for this kit. And yeah, just fun to build. It's kind of familiar. Some parts are very similar to the Valkyrie frame cousin, the Grimgird. But it definitely feels like a very, very new kit, especially with some of those more unique features, like that very unique head and those big giant shoulders and everything. So let me give you guys a look at the articulation. Now, that's one thing I want to point out here, looking at the manual, which is the same as the box art. There for the eye, you can see there's a little like a blue visor. And then here, down below here, you can see that as well in this illustration better. Blue visor. Now we look at the kit. Oh, that's not a blue visor. It's a red mono eye, or kind of pink mono eye sticker there. So, okay. Alright. I don't know if there's a reason for that. I guess there could be, but it just seems kind of silly. I don't know, but for whatever reason, we just have that mono eye sticker there under there. So I mean, that's similar to the Grimgird. I mean, it had a similar kind of thing. But anyway, the horns on the top. I was thinking these had a different name, but they're just electric shock horns. Can move forward to there like that. So that's pretty cool. The whole head in general, it can move down pretty far, and then I guess with those pointing forward, those can point like basically perfectly straight forward, and the head can go up to there. So really nice articulation in the head. That's good. Then we do have this piece on the front, which you can move up to the face. We'll come back to that in a bit. Here in the waist, just going to be typical kind of Iron-Blooded Orphans articulation here in the waist. We have some bend there at the top, and then it's just basically on a ball joint at the bottom, which will rotate and then kind of move side to side a little bit, but not really a whole lot. It's a nice detail there with that white piping up underneath there, up underneath the chest. One sticker here for this tan color in the center of the chest. That's just part of this blue part. So we have that covered up with a sticker there just in the center. The arms will move forward to about there. You can see this big, huge shoulder armor just kind of being in the way. The side of the shoulder armor does move up and down, and the shoulder armor itself can move separately, if I cannot pull it off there. Move up a little bit, but not really a whole lot. Anyway, then just standard movement here in the arm, rotation there at the top. Double joint here, but of course that's also going to be running into the shoulder armor there. You can see we have a peg here on the side of the arm, which doesn't really seem to do anything in this case, but if you have any extra option parts or anything or something that you wanted to plug onto there, you could utilize that if you want. Seam line going down the back of the arm there. On the front of the arm, that's covered up by this detail piece here, but we do also have a sticker here on the front. So just a tan sticker there on the front of the wrist. Again, not really the biggest thing. It would be a very easy thing to mask. for painting. And the wrist just on ball joints, of course. Nice bigger, larger hands for this kit instead of just the stock hands that came on the Grimgird frame. You do have those hands, but no backs for them. Speaking of back, we should take a look at this backpack. This part here on the back does move up and down. Some nice detail on there as well. And that can move up and down a bit. These thrusters don't move or anything at all, but those are just all there. Back skirt, again, also has a port there. If you wanted to plug something in, you could. These side skirts are actually just molded onto the legs. So the leg will be able to move out to about there before that stuff's just all running into each other. So these parts here on the top of the leg are just molded to fit onto these just ball joints here. So it's just a plastic ball joint and it just pops onto there. So those will move around on there a little bit. You can bring the leg up and get a nice double joint here in the knee to give you a nice full bend there. Nice separation of these parts there at the knee. And then this part here on the front is also just kind of on a ball joint, kind of like the side skirt part, so that can move around a little bit if you need. You kind of don't really need that. And then the ankle just bends here at this point, like that. And then back and forward just a little bit. See, back to about there, forward to about there. That's about it. Up underneath the feet, pretty much no detail there. If you're the kind of person that likes detail underneath the feet. But this has a little bit kind of unique feet, so there's kind of a reason for that. So let's get into the accessories and I'll show you that. So one thing is just our different feet options. So these are just like expanded ones. So you just pull these off and just replace those with these expanded feet. I guess that's just supposed to give it a better stance, a stronger stance for wielding its giant weapon. So those are in just a dark navy blue color. We do have this option piece here, which we'll use to mount the sword into the front skirt. And then we have the Valkyria Buster Sword. So at its shortest length, it is much taller than the mobile suit, but then it can also extend here and then extend here out longer, and then it's going to be much, much taller, almost twice the height of the mobile suit. You can also just pull this completely apart here, and then you can use just this part as just like a club, mace kind of thing, just as a weapon by itself if you want, and then use the sword separately if you want to do that. You can make that shorter than there if you want. But that is its main weapon. So if you want to use this option piece for the front skirt, you just pull off that piece, just reattach the front skirt onto this separate piece, then attach this back to there. So then you get this little extended crotch there. And then we can mount the sword. It says just in here like this. Like that. If you wanted to do some kind of posing it, in a way it sort of reminds me of like the XS Gundam, how it has like the mechanical arm to like hold up its giant beam smart gun that like attaches onto the crotch. Yeah, this is just a kind of weird thing, but hey, it does that if you want to do something with this. I feel it'd be really cool if it had like some open hands. You could do a like an XS style pose with this, with its open hands like out on the weapon. Could do something like that, but in this case it's just kind of standing there like that. But it's a cool way to hold that. It's different, it's more unique as opposed to just like attaching onto the back skirt. So here he is posed with the Gundam Barbatos Lupus, doing pretty much about the only thing that this mobile suit has done in this series, and that is give the Barbatos its weapon so that the Barbatos could kill the Hashmal. And yeah, that's pretty much it so far, at least that I've seen, unless it's done something drastic in like the latest episode, which I haven't seen yet. But yeah, so anyway, I don't know. The one thing that I also want to point out at this point is that with the handle of that giant sword being much thicker, and that's why the Reincar there in this case has those like larger hands and they hold on to that thicker handle. But other mobile suits aren't going to be able to hold on to that because that handle is too thick, too big. But where I've got the Barbatos holding on to it is it's got that like kind of extra part of the handle, kind of like handle guard part that goes around there. That is just barely small enough to fit into the hands, and like for a two-handed grip like that, you have to place the hands very close together, which is a kind of hard thing to do, and it doesn't really look the best. You could hold it in one hand, I mean, depending on the pose you wanted to do, but if you did want to give this weapon to a different kit, just keep that in mind, that that's really the only place you're going to be able to hold it without doing any modifications, so it's something to keep in mind. So just one thing that I really like about this kit is just that it's kind of taking like some of the aspects of what we've seen in Iron Blood Orphans. Kind of what Iron Blood Orphans has really been known for is like just really kind of focusing on melee weapons and having some pretty unique designs. So this is like taking that to the extreme. We've got some really gigantic melee weapons, and then this is a really unique design with just the huge giant shoulders like that, and like the kind of mask, kind of like helmet, then with like the big like horns on the top. It just, I think it really captures kind of the look of what they're going for with a lot of mobile suit designs from Iron Blood Orphans really well, much better than others. And some of them do that really well as well. I think like the original Barbatos and some forms of the Barbatos have done that well as well. Not particularly the 6th form in my personal opinion, but some forms more than others of the Barbatos do that well as well, and then there's other ones I think that also are pretty good for that. But this one I think captures that look really well, and it looks just really, really cool, even though it really hasn't seen a whole lot of time actually in action in the anime. It's still a really awesome kit, so I'm really glad that Bandai did actually go ahead and make this one, rather than letting it just sit there as a really cool design that we would never actually get a kit of. And then just another thing I wanted to show off here, which you can take off this front piece on the chest, and then supposedly then just kind of attach this onto the face, like here, and then that kind of closes like that, and that just becomes like a face mask, I guess, like that. To cover the face, I guess. Maybe it'll look better once those like slots, those details are actually filled in with black paint or something. But I'm gonna guess that maybe not too many people are actually gonna display it like that. So in conclusion, let me just run through the negatives of this kit, just because the positives far outweigh the negatives, but there are just a few things worth noting. The seam lines on the arms, that's disappointing, but that's really pretty much the only seam lines on the kit, except for, of course, the weapons. Stickers, there's a couple of sticker color apps, but again, those are pretty easy to mask if you wanted to paint those in, so not really too disappointing there. The one on the chest, I think that one could have been avoided. The one on the wrist, I think that one could have been avoided probably as well by using the parts a little bit differently, but overall for the stickers, it's really not too bad. In terms of like the accessories and everything you get with this kit, I think it's fine. I can't really imagine anything else that would be included with this. There's a lot of plastic already taken up just by those weapons there. One complaint though I do have about the weapon is that I kind of wish the handle would extend a little bit farther. And this is something that I've had kind of an issue with a lot of the Iron Blood Orphans kits, where they're using handles like this, especially where it's a handle where you're supposed to ideally two-hand grip it like this, or like for example the Gundam Gushan's giant hammer or the mace of the Barbatos. For two-handed grips, you want to be able to get a nice wide grip, and if the handle's not long enough, then you can't really do that. And as you're seeing here, it would be nice if you were able to grip this just a little bit wider. So I kind of just wish this handle was just half a centimeter, maybe even a whole centimeter longer. Would definitely be able to improve the dynamic look of holding that with two hands. It's kind of hard to do, just because if you notice on the handle, there's like a little track of like a little gap there, and there is a little peg in the hand that fits into that track, so you have to hold it at a certain angle. The hand won't, unless you cut that peg off, which you could do, and I think it really wouldn't make any difference in terms of like its stability. You could cut that peg off, and then you could change the angle that you're holding the sword in the hand. You could rotate it, I mean. But yeah, I don't know, I just kind of wish that we had a little bit more handle to work with there. The other thing is that kind of square piece where like the two halves of the weapon plug into each other is not really the most secure. It kept coming apart a lot, and when it's not really a big deal, and like once the kit's posed, it doesn't really matter too much, but it's just kind of annoying. Especially for a two-handed pose like this, like where I'm trying to get the most width that I can there between the arms, and so trying to make that as far apart as possible. but then that's kind of coming apart there in the center, and just kind of annoying, and it doesn't look quite right if the angle of that is not perfectly straight. So just some small complaints, but overall really happy with this kit. It's a super cool design, and I'm really looking forward to getting to work on painting this when I can find the time. Should be pretty cool to change up the color scheme. The blue is okay, not really too big a fan of that yellow though. I'll probably just go for a totally new color scheme for mine whenever I get around to painting this. But that's it for this kit. If you do have any other questions or comments, of course, leave those down below. And thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.